Man, my raw seams are ugly, and they're all over. Hello, and welcome to Mandobug Crafts, episode 88. Yes. What's up, everybody? My name is Amanda, but you may know me on the internet as Mandobug, and this is my crafty video blog here on YouTube where I talk about the things that I am making. This week I have sewing, crochet, knitting, and spinning. 4 crafts. It's pretty good, not too bad. So starting the shot with something I've learned. So this is something that I've been told. I haven't actually gotten a chance to try it out or see the results in person yet, and I have a feeling it's going to depend on a couple things. But I was talking to somebody about the dog yarn that I made, the 50/50 wool dog fur blend, and they suggested that I full the yarn after when I go to set the twist to really lock that dog fur in place. And they had said that it's possible that while knitting with the yarn that some of the fur comes out and just kind of sheds some of the stuff that wasn't spun in as well, especially if that fur was shorter. So I think that advice really depends on the breed of the dog. Some dogs have very short, fine fur. Other dogs have fur that's more close in characteristics to like Angora or wool even. So I think it depends on the breed. The breeds that I spun, it was a mix of 3. So I'm not sure. The yarn has been handed over to the customer. She was very happy, and I'm very excited to see what she makes with the yarn and get feedback from her so that I can make a better yarn. I do have some people collecting fur for more orders, so I'm very excited that this little dog fur spinning business has kind of started to take off. So I wanted to share that I heard you may want to full your dog fur yarn if you attempt to do this yourself. And I bet Kim, she spins dog fur, and I bet if you're watching, hi Kim, I bet she has some suggestions on this too. I did talk to her a little bit about spinning dog fur, but I didn't ask about that. And she actually mostly spins 100% dog fur, if the breed allows. I know she had said some breeds it's close to impossible to get the strength that you're looking for in a 100% dog fur yarn. So I would be interested in hearing what you have to say, Kim. Moving on to finished objects. So I have some things that I finished that I don't have with me. I finished the Belle baby bag. You guys, I cannot speak more highly of this pattern, despite its cost. It shouldn't cost more to make something than it does to buy it, but yet here we are. It was very expensive for the supplies, in my opinion, but the bag is amazing. It's better than the diaper bag that I bought, just in stability, and it's completely custom to what my friend wanted. She picked out the fabric, and she loves it, her husband loves it, and baby's not here yet, but like I said, any day. But I'm happy. I'm very happy with the bag and its quality, and also I have to say that it was just way easier to follow the pattern than I have experience following other patterns, which I'll talk about later. But I did kind of go ahead and pre-record my thoughts on the bag before I handed it over, so I'll send you to past me the whole no makeup early morning shebang. So here you go. I finished the Belle baby bag. It's done with an adjustable strap. You guys. Also, inside, now that the lining's finally done, I have stroller clips. And these can also clip alongside where the adjustable straps are. And there's 2 of these so that you can, let's say my arm is the stroller. This is gonna be difficult. You can thread it through the arm bar of your stroller, and it hangs and it clips to the side, and oh my gosh. This bag, you guys, it's so good. If you ever want to make a diaper bag and you have the money for it, this is the one to make. If you can use stash fabric, great, but you still have to shell out, there's my other strap. you still have to shell out money for the stabilizer because this is such a, excuse me, sturdy and stabilized bag. It's like I've said many times, it's every piece except for one is interfaced with woven interfacing. There is a stabilizer in the bottom. There is some shape flex foam stuff around the whole base of the body as well, in addition to all that interfacing. I mean, this is sturdy, sturdy, sturdy. Spendy, spendy, spendy. But I am so happy with it. It was a challenge for me. One of my best friends gets an awesome customized bag, and I already told her because she's shared pictures with friends, and they're like, she should make those and sell those. And I was like, if they will pay $300, I mean, that's not how much it cost me, but that's how much I would charge if I sold it. I said, if they want to pay $300 for a bag, I will make it. But I doubt that they want to pay $300. So I told her, I said, if anyone asks for one, tell them it's $300. So, anyways, I've got the handles on here now. I've got the adjustable strap on here now, and let me show you the lining. I've got that in place. So, some notes. I wasn't paying attention. I didn't sew the lining at a smaller seam allowance. So the lining is the same size as the bag, and it's just, you know, a little floppy in there. The pattern mentioned, instead of basting in certain spots, you can use liquid stitch. And I've never used that before. I bought it thinking maybe it was necessary. I bought it and then I tried it and I didn't like it. I'm just not a fan, I guess, because you need patience. You have to wait for it to dry. Like, meh. I don't know who's got time for that. But I did end up using it on the lining. Before I sewed the lining in place, because my lining was so loose, I used liquid stitch to secure the bottom of the lining to the bottom of the bag. And hindsight, right? I'm kind of wishing I would have done that to the sides as well, because there's no stitching to keep it down other than the zipper stitching. And because, like I said, my lining is too big, it's just kind of floppy in there a little bit. But it's not, you know, it's really not that bad. Let me get you another camera angle here. So this is the interior fabric that I chose, and I mentioned to you guys, I sewed it upside down. They're supposed to be reverse of each other, and they're not. See how they both, the little tips pointing up on both sides. But no, it's just this fabric and this one, this little panel. So nobody's gonna notice. And then there's the large pocket on the inside, and there's the side pockets. The side pockets that match the side pockets on the outside. So I did the lining on the pockets too. So it's a good bag. The lining, so you can see the lining, I was supposed to sew it overlapping the zipper a little bit, because I guess this is supposed to help keep it from catching. If it's too close, it will catch on these in here, but see how it overlaps? It's not going to catch. So good to go. Also, because the lining overlaps, you have less of the zipper scratching your hand when you open it and dig inside. Now, I wish that there was elastic on these pockets to kind of keep them in place. I don't know how useful they're going to be. I'm going to have to ask my friend once she starts using the bag, but I wish I had liquid stitched this in place after making my mistake of not sewing the correct seam allowance, and I wish this pocket had elastic along the top. And then one other thing that I wish that I did, that it's in the picture of the pattern, I'll show you right here. When you look at the pattern, the handle has this top stitch quilting across the handle, and I think it gives just a nice finishing touch. That wasn't mentioned in the instructions, and I thought that it would be, and then by the time that I should have put it on, it was too late. So my handles and my handle and my adjustable straps, they just have the one seam that shuts them up without that extra stitching, and I think that extra stitching would have looked nice. So that is my Belle baby bag. This handle is so sweet. Like, look at it. Jeez, you know, this is, guys, this is it. Like I said, if you're gonna make a diaper bag, this is the one. I ordered it straight off their website, and I didn't have a printer at the time. I have a printer now, but I didn't at the time. And so for a couple dollars more, I went ahead and checked. I think it was $10 more. I checked send me the hard copy as well. So I have the digital version and this printed out hard copy, which I'm keeping all of my pattern pieces in so I can remake it if I want. Because if I ever feel the urge to make another diaper bag, it's going to be this one. And I can only imagine my second time around would be better, even though I'm very happy with this one. And I had to order the hardware in 10 packs because I felt like it was a better deal, even though I ended up spending more. But now I have all this hardware, so I have all the hardware to make another one. It would just be a matter of fabric and interfacing. I don't know, maybe down the line, we'll see. But yeah, this, you guys, 5 out of 5. This is a great pattern. I had a lot of fun making it. I am not that experienced at sewing. I've made a few things. I mean, I did make a corset, which I guess is difficult, but I challenge myself. I make mistakes. What I'm basically trying to say is you can do it too. Like, this is the hardest part. If you know that going in, you're golden. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say about the Belle bag. Now I have to go give it to my friend that's due any day. So I got that bag off to my friend, and then I also knit and crocheted her up some quick hats because she had told me that she realized she didn't have a hat to come home from the hospital in, and it's January, it's cold. So the first hat I did was my 3 stripes crochet beanie pattern. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. Actually, I think it's on a blog. I need to write that up into a PDF and just make it downloadable because that's easier to at least print. But yeah, I did the 3 stripes beanie without the stripes. So it's just a double crochet beanie, and I did 2 stripes of single crochet around the brim. And then I just kind of Google searched some, or maybe it was Pinterest searched, some crochet flower images and found one that I liked and just crocheted it based on the picture. So if anyone's interested, I can write that up, but it's a pretty simple one. I think you can figure it out. And then when I finished the 0 to 3 month size, I realized, you know what, that's not going to fit when she comes home from the hospital. So I went to my go-to newborn hat, which is the Java Pearl Designs CC Almonds of the Geeky Girls top-down preemie hat. And it's broken down into very small preemie hats by gestational age, which is nice. I used a thicker yarn that's than recommended, so I went back even further in the gestational size. I don't remember which size I followed, but I left notes on my project page, which everything will be linked in the description box below. But I knit her up a go-home hat, a very tiny little newborn hat with a blue brim and a blue flower, because the 2 go-home outfits that she's taking to the hospital are they're like a bluey pink outfit, and so she had wanted a blue hat. So I'm very excited for her. I'm very excited for baby. I can't wait. So and those were made using just some acrylic yarn that I had in stash. I think it was Hobby Lobby's. I love this yarn because that's what most of my acrylic stash is. Alright, so finished objects that I actually have with me still. I was able to get 2 hats out of that handspun. So this was the Created by LCB Chinko Teague colorway that I won as a prize from the Sock Spackle that was hosted by So Perfect Pearls is the podcast I won it from. It was co-hosted with the Crafty Garden podcast as well. So I crocheted up a beanie for each of my kids. So this is also my 3 stripes kids beanie without the stripes. And I was like just shy of fitting their head with one skein. And so I was at that pinnacle where I was like, do I do another row and then have all this left over, or do I do 2 short hats and add something to the brim? So as you can see, I chose to do 2 short hats and add some commercial yarn to the brim. This is Haiku Simply Worsted in black, and I actually knit, I don't know because it's black, I don't know if you can see, I actually picked up and did a knit 2 purl 2 rib on my crocheted hat. And you know, I didn't want a rolled beanie, I wanted a fitted beanie, so I stopped at the length that I needed to fit. But now it makes me want to do a hybrid hat where I actually do a full 2-inch knitted brim on a crocheted body. I feel like that would be the ultimate hat pattern because crochet is so fast. You can just whip out the body and just, you really can't get a knitted brim in crochet. I mean, there's methods to get something similar, but it's not the same at all. So I feel like this, I feel like it would be my go-to hat pattern if I was able to marry the two. So I'm very interested to try that out in the future. But so yeah, the black hat I think is Emily's, and Jack got the tan brim, which was fewer rows because he's got a little bit of a shorter head because he is a whole year younger, but the circumference is the same. And that is Haiku Kensington. Don't remember the color name. But I knit Emily an antler hat out of this yarn, so I still had some scraps. So I'm very, very happy with these two hats. The kids love them, and it's cute for them to have matching hats. And so this yarn I spun as a 2-ply fractal. It ended up about an Aran weight yarn. And so it kind of got like a marled striping effect on it. But I wanted to show you, this is only my second fractal spin ever. This was my first fractal spin. And there's a big difference between the two. This had shorter color repeats and I spun it much, much, much finer. This was a 2-ply fractal that was a true fingering weight yarn. And it took me forever to knit this hat. It was a knit 2 purl 2 rib. And I just think this looks cooler. I mean, I like this, but I really like this. I had 2 of these. I knit one for me, and I knit one for my husband. I thought I had done it so it rolled, but this is definitely, oh, maybe it gets a little bit of a roll. The one I knit for my husband, he sent through the washing machine. So it shrank really, really small, and it fit my son when he was about 6 months old, but now he's grown out of it. So it's going into the keepsake box of baby clothes that I can't part with. But I really love this, and I want to do a spin like this again. I'll wait until I have the perfect braid, because I don't think I have any braids in stash that are gonna turn out like this with the 2-ply. On this one I did spin it straight through with the first ply and the second ply though. This one I split into 9 strips. This one I shredded, just like tiny thin strips. I mean, there were such tiny little strips. So I really like the way that turned out because you get more definition in the stripes and less marling, but the marling is still there. So I did want to show you guys fractal 2 ways. I mean, because of the weight and also how much you strip it has a big impact on how prominent that marling is going to be and versus how prominent the striping is going to be. So thought that was interesting and thought you might want to see that. And then what else? I gotta look at my notes. No, the sun's coming out. I hate when it does this. Hopefully it doesn't mess with anything and get weird spots on my face like last time. It's so distracting. Okay. Oh, I finished. Oh, I have another thing I finished that I don't have with me. It's already in the mail on its way to Jen. So when I shared my charms on Instagram, Jen hit me up and was like, hey, can you do a custom for me? And I said, you know, I'm still learning, but if you want, sure. So she asked for 4 cupcakes and I did my best. I'm still not quite at the quality that I really want to be at when it comes to my skills with charms, but they're not that bad. I kind of stalked her Instagram to see kind of what colors she posts a lot, to kind of see what color she wanted, because she gave me full creative freedom. And so the first one I just like, well, let's just do rainbow. So I made the little rainbow bottom with the sprinkles on top. And then like I said, I stalked her Instagram. I hope you don't mind, Jen. And I saw a lot of red and pink. So I decided to go with the red, pink, purple colors, and I did one that's got a little strawberry on top, and I did one where I just kind of played with white and pink and put like some little ball sprinkles on it. And then the other one is the last one that I did, which I don't remember. Oh, it was like pink with little sprinkles. That's what it was. Pink with sprinkles. So those are on their way to Jen, and I really hope she said she likes them, so she does like them, and I'm very glad. But I'm still continuing to play with clay, but that's all that I finished this week. So moving on to finished objects, I did a little bit of spinning this week. After getting the dog fur off the wheel, I needed, like, you know, something else. I can't have my wheel bare. And I still have that third yarn to spin for my Half Moon Oracle. So I chose this one, and I think that it's going to be the perfect addition to the other 2 yarns I've already spun up. So this is just a rough, hopefully when I measure it, fingering weight single that is just kind of resting on the bobbin until I get the other half spun up, and so I can skein it and full it. This is what the fiber is and looks like. It's the same base of fiber that I used with it's like a dark blue, almost black yarn. It's the Shopple in Silk roving, and this one is just gorgeous. It's so soft. This is gorgeous with those streaks of color in it. I just love the way that it looks and the way that it feels. It's a merino silk blend, 75-25. And it's just gorgeous. And it's spinning up very lovely, and I think it's going to knit up even more lovely. So I'm very excited about that project. And then other works in progress, I knit maybe 2 rows on Emily's socks. I just haven't done much knitting this week. This is the tube socks, free tube socks pattern by Jane Richmond, Blue Moon Fiber Art Super Sparkle Candy Castle colorway on US Zeros. 36 stitch socks, and so no love to the stockinette this week, but I'm happy to have the stockinette project when the time calls for that kind of project, that kind of knitting time. I did pick up yarn for my next pair of socks. I told you guys that I was going to be buying more Trekking XXL to kind of perfect my gauge and stitch pattern for socks to fit me, and this is what I picked out. I'll show you the ones. I slipped the label back on them. I wound them. They come in those big oblong balls, but I like to knit my socks 2 at a time, so I wound them into 2 50-gram balls. And so Trekking XXL, this is in the color 661, and it's this really fun solid strand, and then like marled. Well, it's a marled effect. It's one of the plies is solid and the other one is like a variegated, and I love how it kind of has this like overcast gray of multis. It's like the skein of yarn from Jinx Yarns that I envy but never get my hands on, her grain bow. That's what kind of reminds me of. Different, but the same, you know? And then I decided I wanted to have contrasting heels and toes and cuffs with this, so I got Trekking in their sport line, color 1460. It's like a gray. So actually that's kind of blown out, so this is more accurate to color. So I will be casting those on as soon as I finish Emily's tube socks, and then of course she'll get a pair of tube socks with my scraps because that's been working well. Well, we'll see actually, because with the contrasting yarn I'll actually use less, so I'll have more left over. Well, we'll see. You can't only plan so far in advance. But let's see, what else am I working on? Oh, sewing. Okay, I've been doing some sewing in the morning, for better or for worse. Sometimes I'm like really tired when I start and I make mistakes and I have to rip back, and that's not cool. But for the most part, you know, in the morning I'm up before the kids. It's kind of like a peaceful, relaxing time to just be able to focus on my crafts versus me being used to being interrupted by the kids all the time. So this is Simplicity, what is it, 80/30, and I am sewing D. Yes, I'm sewing this D right here with the arms, legs, and instead of little ears, I am turning it into a moose. So this is for my friend whose baby's on the way, and she lived in Alaska for a long time, and when she, well, a long time, like a handful of years, 5, 6, I don't know, maybe even 4. It's not relevant. It's not relevant. During the time that she lived in Alaska, she fell in love with the outdoors and moose, being able to see moose in her front yard. And so you may remember, if you've been with me for a while, which I know a good handful of you have, which I very truly appreciate, I made her a moose hat and I made her a moose. So now, with her baby on the way, I'm making her the moose onesie, and it's been interesting. I didn't realize just how many raw seams there are in garments. You don't realize in your store-bought clothes how many raw seams are on the inside of your clothes because you don't look at that. You just wear your clothes. And I was sewing this along and like, man, my raw seams are ugly, and they're all over. So I have the body, and this is, okay, this is the 0 to 3 month size, and it's not turned inside out, and there's 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, so this is the inside, so it's going to look bigger than the actual finish, but this is big! Like, I don't think this is going to fit her baby till it's almost 1, unless she has a big baby. So, I don't know, hopefully somehow, when I turn it all right side out, it's smaller, but I don't think it is. So yeah, this is the back, and this is the front, and it's got these like curved flaps that will tie shut. So it ties shut just across the front. What's really cool about this pattern is it's got the flip over hands and feet, which I loved with my kids, so that you could expose their hands and feet if you wanted, or you could just flip the ends over to keep them nice and warm and to keep them from scratching their face. So I'm using a jersey fabric for the lining and this polyester fabric that kind of looks like fur. I thought it looked like a moose when we picked it out for the exterior. This has not been fun to sew. I mean, it's been fun to sew, but it has not been easy to work with. I tried my best to read ahead in the instructions, but I don't really understand instructions until I do them. Like, I don't know if you guys are like that at all, but especially with crochet patterns, I can't pre-read the whole thing and just be like, oh, I get it. I have to go stitch by stitch. Otherwise, I get lost and confused. So I'm kind of the same way with sewing, where I can really only take it one step at a time, and the next step doesn't make sense till I've finished the previous step. So, and then also B, I have issues with the way that simplicity patterns are written. I don't feel like they do a very good job of using the same names to talk about pieces. Like, I feel like they change up the names and it becomes confusing, and after they refer to a piece and its number, they drop off the number. I would rather them keep the numbers, but that's just how I understand and my brain works. So for me, simplicity, I have issues with the way that it's written, issues understanding what they mean, and I feel like they could have better, clearer images as well. I don't think they're a very good beginner pattern for sewing, for people who like to sew. But anyways, I lost where I was going with that. Basically, I tried my best to read ahead and see where there were going to be invisible seams between the lining and the exterior, and there weren't a lot. So where I could tell there wasn't going to be a hidden seam, I just went ahead and basted the lining to the exterior, because it's going to all be sewn raw edges together anyways. So that made sewing a lot easier. There were only like 2 or 3 areas where there were going to be invisible seams, so I couldn't do that because I don't think I'm able to explain how that would work without being just confusing. So, yeah. You can't do it if you're going to have an invisible seam there, but if you're going to have all your raw edges sewn together, you can go ahead and pre-baste your lining to the exterior, and it just will make everything easier. I basted at a 1/4, and yeah, I basted at a 1/4 inch. That way, when I did my 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, the basting was inside the seam and it wasn't seen at all. So, yeah, it's been fun to do something different. I've sewn onesies before. I've never sewn anything like this, and I've never sewn with fabric like this before. I've done the jersey knit, but not the fleece. So, well, I've done a smaller fleece, not fleece, polyester. I've done smaller, like minky type polyester that's not as fuzzy. This stuff sheds. And, like, I have it all over my floor, and I'm just going to wait till it's done to vacuum. Right now, I'm working on the hood. And this was one where there's an invisible seam around the opening of the hood, so I couldn't baste the lining to the exterior because it's, like I said, it will have a invisible seam here, so it will be sewn that way later. It's got darts in it. This was, I believe, my first time doing darts. I don't ever remember doing them before. So here, I'll show you in the lining. There are my darts. It was really nothing hard. It wasn't rocket science. You just kind of fold and sew a triangle. And I'm not the best about transferring markings in a pattern. I don't have chalk, and my washable pen is all dried up. So I just eyeballed it, but I think it's fine. I think there's some things that you can just kind of eyeball. I say that now. Watch later. Come back to bite me. So yeah, I'm working on the hood, and I've just kind of made up some ears in felt. Now, these are big. I mean, this is like cartoony fun. So I'm thinking it will be cute. And if nothing else, if this doesn't fit the baby until it's almost a year, it can be their Halloween costume. How cute. I think she would love it. Originally, I had stuffed these with polyester. And then I sewed it into, and you can actually kind of see it here. I cut open the hood before I put the lining in. I cut it open right here where you were supposed to put the bear ears. And this was full of stuffing, and I sewed it in, but it's so high up that it didn't look right. Because if it was a bear ear, this would be perfect, but because it's moose antlers, it needs to be lower. And then also, when it was full of polyester stuffing, it weighed it down, and it was too much. So I've decided to not stuff it and then put it lower in the hood. Luckily, this stuff is so fuzzy, I didn't have to make a second hood because you don't really see that seam. So, yes, I will be doing that, and then hopefully maybe I'll have it done next week to show you guys how it turns out, and then maybe eventually I can get a picture of the baby in it, because that would be cool. But yeah, that might be a year from now. That brings me to current events. So, I am hosting, or collabing, with Amber of Ambi Crafts Reads is her name on Ravelry, and the name of her podcast on YouTube. She has the Faith Loves Crafts, or maybe it's Faith Love Crafts group on Ravelry, and so this is the Faith FLC Craftathon for 2018, and we have a hashtag that you can use for that. So she is hosting it from January 1st through the end of December of 2018, and I'm just going to be collabing with her for January and February. So I'm going to have a finished objects thread in my group, and she's going to have the one in her group. I'm going to be making prizes that are for my group and for her group. Those are to be determined. I haven't made them yet, but I'm thinking a couple project bags, a couple stitch markers. We'll get something fun for you guys. So, basically, it's just a very open craft-a-thon, so any craft, and there are challenges. So you get one project per one challenge. Like, how is that makes sense? Yes. So if you knit a hat, let's say you knit a hat, you can only apply that project to one challenge, and you can only do each challenge one time unless you've completed all challenges. Then you can start over. So that's how that works. Check out our threads. Everything will be linked down below because the list is long. There's things like, you know, use a new technique, use something old from stash, make something for spring, make something for summer, make something for someone else. The list is on and on and on. So I highly suggest kind of looking over what the challenges are to get an idea of what you think you may be interested in challenging yourself to do, and to plan out what you can enter for the giveaways. So the prizes will be drawn the beginning of March. So like I said, I'm collabing until February, so I'll have prizes in my group in February, and I believe Amber is drawing for prizes in her group at the end of February, but then also through the end of the year as well. So definitely go check that out. And also there's a chatter thread, so you can come in on Ravelry and chat about the things that you're planning or possibly working on, or if you have any questions. So I did want to mention that. That kicked off January 1st. I just got the thread open today. I'm so sorry. Sometimes, you know, things slip your mind, but we're up and running. We got it going. And so that takes me to Let's Chat. So it's the new year. That's 2018. Does it even feel right to say 2018? It still feels like a future number to me, but it's not. It's now. This past week, my daughter, Emily, had her birthday, and she turned 3. I can't believe it. And boy, at 3, their language just explodes. She says so much all the time, and, like, she says things that are logical now. Like, she makes connections, and it's just really cool to see the gears, you know, ticking in her mind and to hear her thoughts expressed. It's really, really cool. But 3 has been a very emotional age so far, so that has been interesting to watch and learn to deal with, and try to help her learn to kind of feel the feelings, because you're going to feel the feelings for the rest of your life. You just have to learn what is and is not appropriate behavior when you feel the feelings. So yeah, she's 3. My son's birthday is coming up next month. He'll be turning 2. I can't believe it. It's so funny because for me, you know, you have your first child, and, you know, I didn't feel like a mom right away. Like, I knew I was a mom, but I didn't feel like a mom. Now that they're turning 2 and 3, I feel them. I see the mom. You know, I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh my God. But, you know, I definitely feel like a mom. Oh, and I was telling Lori, when I was wrapping presents for Christmas and putting the labels on them, I used to wrap presents for my parents, for my younger brothers, and write, you know, from mom and dad. But when I wrapped them this year and wrote from mom and dad, I was the mom and dad. It was just crazy to think about. It's just, it's very, very interesting, but it's also really cool. So yeah, she had her birthday, and then New Year's happened. We didn't do anything for New Year's. I don't even think I didn't make it to midnight, and then this is how I know I'm old now. When it was midnight, all of the neighbors were lighting off fireworks and shooting guns, and I do not like guns. I don't like them at all. I don't like being near them, being shot. It makes me uncomfortable. So when that was happening, I was awake and upset and mad and old, right? I mean, that's what old parents do, is they get mad at people lighting fireworks off in the middle of the night. You know, I know they're just having fun and having a good time. With the guns, there's definitely a safety issue. But with the fireworks, there's also a safety issue, but I'm sure that the fireworks were fine. I was just tired and cranky and old, I guess. But yeah, so that happened. I was asleep, and it woke me up, kept me up for probably like 30 minutes, and then I went back to bed. But I'm excited. It's a new year. I'm very excited for things to come in 2018. I'm trying to plan out, not too far because I like to have leeway in my plans, but I'm trying to plan out some fun things to be a part of this next year and see where that goes. I only work 1 day a week this month, which means I have Tuesdays open, and on Tuesdays there's a local spinning guild that meets, and I have yet to go to their meetings, and I get to go next week. So I'm very excited to go and meet some local spinners in real life. I love being back up in the Pacific Northwest. A lot of you know I lived in Georgia for a long time, and I was basically on the border of South Carolina, and there just wasn't much out there for the fiber arts. The closest yarn store to me was almost an hour away, and they were only open 3 days a week. And when Southern Maid opened up, there was a handful of people, but that was right before I left, so I only got to stop in there a handful of times. But up here in the Seattle-Tacoma area, there is a lot going on everywhere. There are multiple yarn stores. So I work at a yarn store, right? We're part of a tour, and there's like I think there's over 20 stores that are a part of the tour. Like, there's so many yarn stores up here. There are so many knitters. There are so many spinners. There's just a large community for the fiber arts up here, and I'm just so great to be local to me and to be able to meet and talk with these people in real life. But I'm mean, I also love my internet community where I can talk to people that live in the South and video chat with them and engage with them, but it's also fun to do it in person as well. So yeah, I'm very grateful for the community up here and online. So yeah, I mean, I feel like at this point I'm just rambling. I don't have anything else. Oh, I did write down one more thing. This guy, you guys. I never wear this sweater, ever. It's been sitting in my drawer for a very, very long time. I never grab it, and when I do, I just want to take it off. It's pretty, right? I love the yarn. This was Madeline Tosh DK in Rainwater, and I alternated skeins to knit this sweater. This is the Staring at Stars cardigan by Alicia Plummer, I think. It was for a knit along with Eat Sleep Knit. I knit it I think partially while I was pregnant with my son, or possibly right after I had him, when I was heavier. When I was heavier in nursing, I had a 36 or 38 inch bust. Now I have a 32 inch bust, which most patterns don't start that small. They start at 34. So that is annoying. But also, so I knit this at a 34, and I think I thought it would be fine because at the time I was at 36, and I didn't know if I was going to go all the way back down to 32, which I have. So this is too big for starters. I'll show you the back. Right? So it's too big across the back of my shoulders. So the natural line on this sweater wants to hit here. My shoulder stops here, which makes it feel like it's falling off because it's just not snug enough. I want it up here. And it may also be because it's raglan, there's no seams here too, right? So there's not as much stability around the sleeves. But it just always feels like it's falling off. So that's issue number one. Including the size that it's too big, issue number 2. Issue number 3 is that it's 3/4 length sleeves, and I actually think I knit mine a little too long. It's like at that awkward, let me see if I can, because if I lift it up, you can't really tell. Let's see, this way. It's that awkward point where, here's my elbow, that I went too far, right? 3/4 like right past the elbow. So I went too far to be 3/4, and I'm too short to be a full sleeve. And so I hate the feeling of like the length of these sleeves, so I always push them up. And because I did a stretchy bind off, because I thought it was going to be hitting up higher, it doesn't stay up. It constantly falls down. So I'm constantly pulling up the sleeves on this guy. And then the other issue I have with it is that, and I didn't know this about myself, I don't like cardigans that don't have length or width in the front. This is one of those cardigans, kind of like the Mama Vertebrae, where you don't have much of a front panel. It just kind of hangs to the side of your bust because there's not, you can see my side here, there's not much of a front. And it's very cute if you have like a nice blouse and you're trying to show off your shirt. That makes this a very nice accent piece. But when you add that on top of the feels like it's falling off, this open cardigan makes it feel like it's falling off even more. And then I just start getting frustrated. I'm like, what is this thing even doing anyways? Like, it's not even... The design is cute. I love the design of the sweater. I don't like the fit. I don't like the fit of the sweater at all. So I think I'm going to frog it. I think this is yarn that would be better used in something else because I am not getting the wear out of this. I thought I would wear it today, give it another chance before I fully decided to rip it out. And it's getting ripped, you guys. It is rip it, rip it. Here comes the frog because just not, no. So look out for that. We'll see how it goes because like I said, I alternated skeins, but I don't think there's many cuts, so we'll see what kind of yarn I get out. And I think I still have some more of this in stash too, like maybe another skein. So I'm going to frog it, relax it, and count it and see what we have and see if this can't become something I love, because I don't love this cardigan. So yeah, that is actually everything this time. So I hope you guys made some good progress on whatever it is that you're working on, and I will see you next week. Until then, happy crafting. Bye.